Story. We often think that when a woman first finds out she's pregnant, she would be happy. She begins the journey to motherhood with doctor's visits to ensure that she and baby are healthy. However, how often do people ask how she's doing? How she's really doing? Well, it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and within the month, a week is dedicated to maternal mental health. It's a growing problem whose magnitude isn't fully known because many women still suffer in silence. Well, to unpack this with me this evening, joining me live from Eldoret is Faith Kipkemboi. She is a nurse who's based there. And she also is the co-founder of an app called Cactus Mama. And she'll be telling us a bit more on what they do with it to reach out to mothers. In studio, joining me is Faith Mbudi, who is a psychologist and deals with countless moms who are struggling with mental health issues. I'll begin with you. When we hear the term maternal mental health, it's a big one. But, if you're to break it down, if you were to demystify it, what does it look like? How does it feel?
So, maternal mental health is everything the mother experiences. So it is the process or the transition between being a woman to becoming a mother. Yes? So this process can be bumpy. And it is a process. After birth or during pregnancy, there is the thought that maternal instincts are supposed to kick in. But this is not mostly the case. It is a process. It takes time. And these feelings can include baby blues, which a mother experiences intense feelings after the first 2 weeks. And also it can include postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, and the extreme case is postpartum psychosis, where the mother can be a harm to herself or the baby.
So when we talk about psychosis, for instance, how bad can it get?
It can get bad to the point that the baby needs to be separated from the mother. Okay. Yes, because the mother poses a risk to the baby and herself because of the thoughts surrounding suicide, self-harm, and also even harming the baby. So that is how bad it can get.
Let me come to Faith in Eldoret. There's always a story behind an innovation or a reason why you started something. Take us to the moment when you were a nurse in Iten. And you interacted with a mother at the hospital that basically opened your eyes to this world of maternal mental health.
So I remember the day I was in Iten. I was just a new nurse student. I just started my studies at McGill University. And this was my first time encountering a mom with postpartum psychosis. She came in with a baby. She was 9 months old, but when you carried her, she was paperweight. And she looked like she wasn't being cared for well at home. But first, let's go to the mother. When she came in, she had to be restrained by 4 men. I know restraining is a difficult conversation, but sometimes we need to restrain patients before we settle them down and give them the care that they need. So this day, we had a packed ward. There were many patients. And this is a mom who has come in because the relatives have noticed she's not herself. The baby has been crying. She's not able to breastfeed. She looks like she's in an active phase of psychosis. She was not herself. If you asked her a question, she would not answer. She needed help. So we took her in, and because of the restraining, we were able to give her some sedative. That's also a difficult topic, but sometimes we need to settle patients before we give them the care that they need. So we settled her in a ward, and we didn't have a secluded room, so the baby had to come in the same room as other patients who had TB, who had wounds that maybe were septic. So this was a time I knew nothing about postpartum psychosis, but I realized there was a problem. The baby was crying so much. So I took the baby while the other nurses helped because they were more experienced than me, but I had experience with caring for babies. So I took the baby, helped her get some food, helped her to settle down. You could see the baby crying, but there were no tears. That's always a sign of dehydration. So we got some fluids in for the baby and helped her to stay in a room as we settled her mom. But the room we took her in was one that we knew was not going to last because the room was secluded for other activities, like procedures such as MVA and things like that. So after that, the mother was given some mood stabilizers, and then we took the baby to sit with the mom. But here you see, we were exposing the baby to other conditions like TB. So I knew then we needed better care, and I needed to learn more about this. How can pregnancy lead to this? How can someone become like this after having a very beautiful pregnancy, which for me, pregnancy has always been an experience I thought was beautiful. So I needed to understand, how can it get here?
Yeah, so talk us through how you actually began the app, how it works, how mothers interact with it. Okay, so Bridge Me is part of the services we give with the app. We noticed that part of the problem is there is not enough professionals in underserved areas, like in the rural areas. And we noticed if we leverage technology, people can get on the app and be connected to clients, and therapists can also be connected to the clients. As you know, with the mental health treatment gap, we realize we need to have enough professions, and that is can be leveraged with technology. So how you use it, you get on the app, you log in with either your email or your social media pages, like Facebook. Yeah, you log in with that, and then you choose the therapist that's available for you. You choose the time that's convenient, you choose the time that works for you, and we often advise our clients to use Wi-Fi or data that is good and not liable for hacking or things like that, so we can have a private or a safe platform. As you know, if you use a public network, you open yourself to data breaches, so we always advise for it to be used in a private data connection. And as I said, it's one of the services. So our app is an alternative for those who have connection to internet, to data. But you can also call us on our phone numbers that we have listed on our website, we have listed on our social media pages, because we realize technology is not a fix for everything. It's one of the solutions, but it's not the all solution. So we also want to have an alternative, the phone call, to those who cannot use the data or the app. Yes. So we have some testimonials from 2 clients who have interacted with the app, have gotten help. Let's get their accounts up on the screen really quickly. So this is from one of the clients, and she says, having a child whose father wants nothing to do with him was my greatest source of stress. And then other things followed, like having an unsupportive family who don't care how I was faring on, a CS scar, a baby who would cry the whole night, and a nasty toothache. She goes on to say, so with no one to talk to, thoughts would pile up in my head, and I would blame myself for everything that has happened. I mean, these are some of the stories that you've heard firsthand, Faith. And she said, you know, I couldn't forgive myself for having children, so sometimes I thought I would take my life, leave my kids, and at times I would think of running away from them. Heavy to hear that. Because again, and you mentioned this, the perception is when you become a mother, the instincts kick in. You want to be nurturing, you want to be protective, you want to be present. But when those feelings aren't there, there's a guilt that also comes in because you're thinking, well, I'm not being a good mother, right? So how do you deal also with the guilt that comes when mothers feel I'm not up to what society feels I should be?
So there is a perception of what it is to be a good mother, right? One of the things is we prepare for the child, but then rarely do even specialists talk about how to prepare to be a mother. So you know what to do to the baby.
Right.
You understand to follow baby's cues. You understand you need to feed every 3 hours, to change the nappy when it's soiled. But then you do not understand what to do about these feelings. And when support is lacking, that then increases the risks for you to have mental health conditions, because it's support mothers need. We keep saying that it takes a village to raise a child, but it also takes a village to support a mother, right? And a mother needs to know that it's okay to struggle, that it is a process. It just doesn't kick in, that these feelings may be there, that even if your desire to be a good mother is present, right? You need to question, you need to reframe these thoughts that tell you there is a standard to being a good mother. The instincts are there. There is trusting yourself to know what to do when the baby comes, and having the support team to ask when you struggle, right? But when there is no support and you have no one to talk to, then you're left with your thoughts. And your thoughts can lie. They can be louder than the facts that is there. The baby is alive, that it's okay to be tired after waking up every 3 hours, that you're being secluded for the first 3 months from your friends, from even outside, and all you're doing is listening to baby's cues. So it's okay to struggle, right? And in the meantime, what can be is the support that we offer, through supporting the mother, even as a therapist, to talk through her emotions, to say that today I felt tired. Today, when baby cried, I felt irritated. But still, can they be able to also see that they were able to meet baby's needs at the end of the day, right? So support is quite important for our mothers. Let's not only look at baby's needs, but also look at when they go to clinics, are we asking the mothers how well they are transitioning into motherhood, how well they are sleeping, if they need more support, if they need someone to come hold the child, well, they get that 6 or even 2 hours needed much of sleep. That it's okay to say, I'm struggling to be a mother. I'm struggling to bond with the child. That sometimes we think that because we are struggling, then we are not good mothers. And it's not black and white. You can still struggle and be a mother. Good means that there is a bad. And when we use the word a good mother, there is the assumption that there is a bad mother if you're struggling. There is just mother. Mothers who struggle, mothers who cannot understand why, even at the postpartum care, you're leaking, you're experiencing even your hormones are haywire, right? And there's that transition into even your identity. Now you have someone who needs you all the time. And it's a transition to now being able to be there for yourself as much as be there as a mother.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because there's need to normalize such conversations, not to guilt moms into feeling, well, because you didn't feel like changing the baby's diaper. You've automatically gone to the category of bad mother. But Faith in Eldoret, and I have to keep saying this because Faith in studio, Faith in Eldoret, let me finish with you. To get the feedback that you've received from clients, mothers who've interacted with the app, how it's changed their lives, and I should say how it's saved their lives. Just take us through what it's been able to do for them.
Can I get that again?
Sure. Take us through the reactions you've gotten, feedback you've gotten from mothers who've interacted with the app. How has it helped them?
So the mothers who have used our app have come in to say that it helped with accessibility and convenience. When you think of going to see a therapist, most of them are based in urban centers. And you think of, I have to get a car, I have to go with the baby, I have to take the baby's milk. But if it's an online platform, it's convenient. You can come into this session with your baby. or if the baby is fussy, someone can hold them and they're in sight and you're sure that they're okay. Although we need to mention that not everybody is tech savvy. So we have had experiences also of having to educate our clientele on how to use the app, which also gives me feedback that we need to keep updating the app to be friendly for anyone who is literate. And we know like digital literacy is still something we're working on, mashinani and everywhere. So we need to keep updating our app to make sure it's accessible, because if we don't, we're creating another digital divide, and it's a problem that we don't want to put on top of the problem of accessibility to services. That's why I mentioned part of the reason I embrace Cactus Mama and the services is it's a platform that has been built by healthcare professionals with the help of developers. As you see, most services in the industry, in the health industry, we find most people are embracing developers to come and help with solving the problem. But if we have it the other way around, where healthcare professionals are seeing the problem, we're having to bring the issues on the table. We are the ones in the field, seeing what's happening. We can inform the app to adopt the needs of our clientele, but that doesn't mean that we don't encourage also the clients to tell us what needs to change. Like, I can't use this, because every technology has affordances.
Right. It
has, the way you use WhatsApp is different from the way I use it. So we anticipate a lot of challenges, I would say, or updating that we need to make as we go along, because it's still a very novel platform, but we are getting feedback that's helping us to adopt the needs of our population so that mothers can have a good experience and have their issues addressed. So we are not creating another issue of access in terms of using the platform as well.
Fantastic. That's all the time we have. Thank you so much, Faith in Eldoret. Faith here in studio for helping to demystify this issue of maternal mental health and, you know, getting women to normalize their issues, to talk about it. And we talk. That's the thing. As women, we've always been open. And so why not at a time when you need the help the most? Thank you so much for watching. We take a short break here on Citizen Weekend. Much more ahead. Stay with us.